Donald Trump, China, and what comes next. The square in the tower. Candidate Donald Trump completely dominated Hillary Clinton on both Facebook and Twitter. If the social media platforms had not existed, Trump would have been forced to conduct a more conventional campaign, in which case the greater financial resources of his opponent, who outspent him by more than 2-to-1, would surely have been decisive, close quote. Donald Trump is president today because his campaign is networked, while the Clinton campaign was hierarchical. True?
That is the argument of my book, and indeed it's something I've revisited in recent columns. More and more, I think, that Facebook and Twitter, these social networks or network platforms, were crucial to Trump's victory in 2016, and if they had not existed, he would not have won. Now, everybody has their own pet theory as to why the election turned out the way it did. But I think people who, on the eve of that election, called it right, may be in a stronger position than the people who said that Hillary Clinton had a 90% probability of winning, and then subsequently retrofitted their theories to the facts. I think the decisive variable must have been the social networks, because it gave Trump tools which were available to the Clinton campaign but simply weren't used so effectively to target advertising at key voters with great precision and at very low cost. It is much cheaper to do this and more effective than to go for old-style commercials paid for on TV, which I'm afraid the Clinton campaign was still heavily reliant on.
So all of this sounds very odd. Not wrong, but odd. The Democratic Party is the party of youth, hipness, cool. Hillary Clinton won by a large margin among those millennials who chose to vote. And you're saying that she was outmaneuvered by a septuagenarian real estate executive from Queens. Yeah. So we simply have to say the association of youth and networking is superficial at best. This is open to anybody who wants to grab it.
It's more rich in irony than even you suggest, because Silicon Valley itself, if you'd asked nearly all the senior executives and software programs,
not a lot of Trump supporters.
They were all completely on board with Clinton. The campaign contributions overwhelmingly went to her. Eric Schmidt of Google was one of her campaign advisors. There was only really a handful of people in Silicon Valley who backed Trump, Peter Thiel being the bravest. So what's amazing here is that the tools created by a liberal elite, and they don't come much more liberal than Mark Zuckerberg, were the key to the success of the populist candidate, and tools that were thought to be the property of youth turned out to be a very powerful instrument to mobilize middle-aged and aging Americans in support of the populist candidate. This is the great irony of 2016, but we shouldn't be so surprised. Exactly the same thing had happened just a few months before, in June 2016, in the Brexit referendum in Britain, where Facebook was very effectively used by the Leave campaign to get predominantly older provincial voters to turn out in massive numbers. 90% turnout for voters aged 65 and older in the Brexit referendum.
90%, really, I hadn't heard that figure.
So that's the irony of all of this. And I think it was Brad Pascal, who was Trump's digital media director, who observed just the other day that they had designed these networks, never imagining that they could be used to advance the cause of a populist right-wing candidate. And this brings us back full circle to your Twitter founder quotation at the beginning. We never thought that if we connected the world, it would turn out this way. Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook said not so long ago, we never thought our tools could be used in this way. History is great because it's full of irony. This is Edward Gibbon class irony. Silicon Valley built the tools that propelled Donald Trump, a man they nearly all abhor, into the White House.